know, Michelle and I, we started this business about 6 years ago, a little over 6 years ago. And one of the things that I love about network marketing is you don't have to, excuse me, you don't have to have any knowledge base of network marketing to get started and have success in this business. It's really, you know, finding a company that has a system in place that's been proven to work, and then utilizing that system, doing what other people have already shown to be successful, to have success yourself. And that's really what we did is we watched people like Carrie Dickey and Stu Brody, Kerry Williams and Maria Williams, and what they were doing, and we just followed suit. And one of the things that is fundamental with this business, especially early on as you get started, is coming up with your database. Who are you going to share these products with? And that was really kind of our first aspect of, we don't know what we're doing, so teach us on what we need to do to create this database. Because some people were popping into our head, right? We saw that ABC primetime video, and it was an absolute no-brainer because of certain health reasons that we wanted to get the product Nerf 2 Protandim into people's bodies to see what it could do for them. But, you know, as these product lines have increased, there's different reasons. You know, as we learned more about the business side of network marketing, there were many various reasons that we could contact people to get the information in front of them. And this is not a sales business, you guys. This is a person-to-person business where you're trying to make it about them. You're finding the people in your lives who have a pain, and you're filling that pain with a solution. And it all starts, honestly, with the database. So here's how I would database if I was you. And some of you are new to the business, so this will be, you know, kind of the first time going through this, but a lot of you on the webinar tonight, you've already created your database, and maybe it's time to kind of reset that database and start from scratch and just kind of do things over again, because you might be at a point where your business is stuck or stagnant or not growing as fast as you would like it to grow. So what I would suggest that people do is, first of all, start writing down as many names as possible. And when you bring in a new distributor and you're sitting down training them and having them do the same thing with their database, I think it's important that you do this with them. Don't tell them what to do and provide the tools and then just tell them to go away and do it, right? Chances are that eight or 9 out of 10 people, if you build your business like that, they're going to come back and they're not going to have, you know, done what they were supposed to do. So I would sit down with a new distributor and go through this with them. And maybe you're writing the names down for them. And just start with having them write down anybody that pops into their mind. Now, the problem with this is going to be that they'll probably run out of names a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes into this activity. They're going to write down maybe 15, 20 names and think that that's their database. And the fact of the matter is that's just the start. And oftentimes people, they're gonna, you know, think of a few people, but if you pulled open their phone contact list, is their contact list only 15 to 20 people? Absolutely not. And in order to have success with this business, you've really got to take advantage of truly creating a large database. Now, your database is a living document. It's not gonna just be a one-time event that you write people's names down and that's it. You know, what I would suggest that you do is every single day, try to add at least 1 to 2 names on your database. And your database never goes away. We hear all the time people saying, well, there's nobody left on my database. Well, the only time that anybody should be removed from your database is if they signed up to be a distributor in your business, right? Because it takes sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8 exposures for somebody to join the business. I was actually on the phone right before this webinar with a friend of ours out in Wyoming, and we were talking with another college friend that honestly, Michelle and I, we've been talking to them for the last 5, 6 years. And if we wouldn't have continued to follow up, or we said that our database was gone and they were no longer, you know, somebody that would consider doing this business, there's no way that we would be at the point now where they're ready to sign up. We asked her on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at with wanting to do this business? And her response was 9.9. She's ready to go. And so don't think of your database as ever going away. It doesn't. So if somebody, you know, becomes a customer, can you still reach out to them and let them know the new things that are coming into our business and share with them, you know, different things that have happened? Or you go to an elite academy or a global convention coming back with excitement, new changes, what's going on, or a new product comes out, or something just changes in their life where they're at a different point today or a different chapter in their life than they were years ago. As long as your database is maintained, you'll always be able to reconnect with these people. And one of the biggest things about your database, you guys, is that you've got to treat it as one of the most valuable assets within your business, right? And so the relationship of the people on your database is more important, honestly, than them ever being a customer or a distributor in your organization. Because if you start to ruin those relationships on trying to get the information in front of them, then they are going to no longer be a viable option for you down the road to get them as a customer or distributor. So treat people with respect. Know that your database is not going to shrink. It's only going to continue to grow as you put more and more people on your database. Okay. Now, like I said, if you're sitting down with a new distributor, they'll probably get stuck about 60 seconds, 2 minutes into this exercise. So then what you're going to have to do with them is get into what we call the memory jogger. You're going to have to ask them, who do they know within their family that is not on the list? Let's talk about parents. Are your parents on there? Your in-laws? Let's say, your grandparents or children, grown children, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews, cousins. If you're asking them these questions and doing this with them, they're going to have a much larger list. And the great thing about having a larger list is this: unless you're coming into this as a professional network marketer, you're probably not going to do the best job inviting the first few people to see the information, to see what we have our hands on. And if you have a list of 20 people and the first 18 you don't do a great job and they're not interested, is it going to be pretty daunting to try to build a business where you want it to be built when there's only 2 people that you think are left on your database? Whereas if you had a list of, let's say, 150 or 200 people and the first 18 told you no, it really isn't a big deal, because you still have, if you had a list of 200, you'd still have 180 people that you still need to contact for the first time. And then you can go back and start to clean it up. So really take advantage of this memory jogger. Who's in your current address books? Who did you send Christmas cards to last year? Who sent you a Christmas card? Who do you have that you have their email address or their cell phone numbers? Who were the parents of your child's class? What are the parents that your kids have athletics with somebody else's child, your friends and your neighbors? Maybe, who do you go to church with? Who did you go to college with? Who did you go to high school with? Things like that. You've really, really got to get them to think outside of the box, and maybe throw 4 or 5 of these out there, let them throw out some more names, and then you go to the next couple. Who does your mechanic work? Who's your accountant, your banker, your babysitter, your car dealer, dentist, optometrist, things like that. If your computer was going to break down, who would you be calling? Do you have people for that offer services for you that you haven't thought of yet? So ultimately, you're trying to get as many people down on that database as possible. And again, you're doing this with them. You're not just giving them the information and telling them to go out and do it on their own. Now, what I would challenge you guys to do is not stop there. Don't stop with just writing down a list of a lot of people's names. Because if you have a list of 200 people, it's kind of like, what do you do with it next? How do you turn that into an invite? So what I would say is the easiest way to help you then transfer your database into an invite list is to put a second column right next to their name. You've got their name, then right next to it, put another column that says why. Why did you think of these people? Was it a health reason? Are they sick? Are they going through something? Have they dealt with something in the past? Maybe family members of theirs have been sick, things like that on the health side. Or maybe it's on the business side, that they hate their job, or it's Sunday night and that they're not looking forward to going to work on Monday morning. Or maybe they have been great at business all their life and they're just really, really entrepreneurial. They love to help other people. So right next down to every single name that's on your database, why you're thinking of that person in regards to LifeVantage and Protandim or Axio, Physique, all of our product lines in the company itself. Now, you're going to have some people that you absolutely have no idea why you wrote their name down. And for these people, what I would suggest that you do is don't contact them right away about the business. Contact them to reconnect so that you can talk with them, have conversations, catch up, get to know them again. And I promise you this, if you ask them enough questions and get them to talk, they're going to say something that you can fill in that blank with. And that's ultimately what we want to do with the database as we use it as an invite list, is to find reasons that we can help them in their life, make it about them and why they should hear the information, how you have a solution to what they're going through in life, and they've got to see something that you know about. You have information that they absolutely are going to want to see. If we make it about ourselves, it's going to be a very, very challenging business, because people then feel like they're being sold, or you know, it's, you know, about you and not about them. You're not trying to help them. So as much as possible, really get that why part of the database down. And I'll tell you, you know, if you feel stuck or stagnant, going through this exercise again and not looking at your old database, maybe you're creating a brand new database, and then compare the two and see who you didn't have on there. But don't prejudge anybody. Put everybody's names down. You know, your pastor and their wife, real estate agents, florists, people that, you know, deliver things to you, FedEx and UPS, if you know their names. Just write down every single person's name. Think about all the people that you don't like, all the people that you like, all the people that you would love to have in your business. Just get creative with anything that can put another name into your business, and keep the list, you know, with you, or have the ability to write down people's names throughout the day as they pop into your head. Oh my gosh, I didn't think about this person. I need to get them onto my database. And you're continuing to add to the database every single day, 1 to 2 people early on in your business, because that's going to give you the ability to share this with more people and know who you need to talk to. Michelle was amazing our first year in the business of really sitting down at the end of every night and taking the database and finding 2 people that she was, no matter what, going to talk to the next day, or at least attempt to talk to them before she closed out the end of the next day. And so she would just take the database and really thoughtfully plot out, okay, here's 2 more people that I need to contact in the next 24 hours, or I'm not doing my part of exposing this business. And if you can make it simple, if you can make it easy, people are much more likely to put the time and the energy into it to get the results that they're looking for. So don't take the database lightly. Take this as, like I said at the very beginning, as one of your most valuable assets in your LifeVantage business, because without your database, it's going to be pretty hard to know who you need to actively talk to on a daily basis. And also who to follow up with, right? Because we know, again, statistically, most people don't make a decision within the first couple of times that they hear information. It takes 5, 6, 7 times where the majority of yeses come into play. And go back to this database. If you have a list of 200 people and you're contacting 1 to 2 people every day, you're talking at least 100 days to 200 days before you've gone through your database one time. And then you're starting to circle back through, talk with the people that you've added to the list since, and then talking with the people a second time and getting them a second exposure into the information, following up with them once again. You can take your database and put it into a recipe card box. I loved Michelle's idea when we first got going. She put a recipe card box and split it into 12 different segments with the months of the year. And so she might talk to, let's say, 40 people in the month of January, and it wasn't appropriate to follow up with them necessarily in a couple days or a week. It was a month or 2 months out. So she might put that name that she first talked to and put them into February, or she might put that recipe card that has somebody's name on it and say, yeah, we talked about it. They're super busy. You know, things are going to settle down a little bit in March. They asked me to get a hold of them in March, and putting good notes on that card so she knows when to follow up properly with them. And taking that, you know, example of writing the why down, as I finish this up, I want to give you a couple different examples of what I'm talking about. So let's say, you know, I went to college with a friend of mine named Bob, and Bob, his entire life, he has always had great success with business. He's super entrepreneurial, and everything that he touches turns to gold. So right next to Bob's name, I might put, you know, entrepreneurial, everything turns to gold. Right underneath Bob, let's say I have Amy. And Amy, you know, I've known her since college as well. And it seems like everybody in Amy's family, ever since I've known her in college, it seems like the people that I've met that have been family members, if they're above the age of 40, they've had some sort of heart disease affect them. And so next to Amy, I'm writing down heart disease. And then when I'm looking to take this database into the invite, that's exactly what I'm looking about. So you know, for that first example, Bob, and everything turns to gold, I'm saying, hey, Bob, there's this ABC primetime video. You got to check it out. You've always been entrepreneurial, and everything you touch, it seems, turns to gold. You're going to be blown away by this video. Or with Amy, you know, in heart disease, I'm calling Amy up and say, hey, Amy, you know, I've known you since college, and it seems like everybody that I've met in your family, by the time they're 40, heart disease has affected them pretty dramatically. There's this ABC primetime video. You got to check it out. It's going to blow you away. And again, that helps you make it not about you, but about them, and that you have something for them to see that's going to drastically impact their lives. So